Hi, and welcome to our interview session today. My name is Shannon Combs-Bennett. I'm the creative director for the In-Depth Genealogist. And Jennifer Alford has joined me again, our publisher, and we are very excited to be interviewing Louise Cooke from the Genealogy Gems podcast and Allison Dolan, publisher of Family Tree Magazine. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting us. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw your names in the lineup for the Innovator Summit and that you were talking about guerrilla marketing, I was so excited because I always feel like there's always so much more I could be doing.
Yes.
And during your session, you gave many, many wonderful suggestions. But I really appreciated that you were focused more on, making it as simple as possible for yourself. Mm-hmm. I thought you really touched on that really well because as small businesses, there's only so much of us to go around.
And cheap. Cheap is good.
Cheap is
Inexpensive.
good.
That's what we liked, right?
Exactly.
Keeping the costs down.
Yes.
And getting the most bang for your buck.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
really what it's about. No matter whether you're a big company or a small business, you want to get the most return on your investment, and that's an investment of dollars and of time.
Right.
So making it really work with the resources you have and doing it on the cheap is important no matter how big your budget.
Well, and Lisa, you really made your start as a podcaster. Mm-hmm. And now you're traveling all over and giving presentations and all of that. Do you still feel like the podcast is where it's at?
Absolutely. In fact, podcasting really took a huge resurgence last year when the podcast Serial came out.
Oh, right.
Because all of a sudden, two things happened. Serial came out, which everybody started binge listening to and obsessing about. And you'll love it if you're a genealogist because it is kind of a detective type story. But second is that mobile devices have revolutionized how we listen. Mm-hmm. The biggest challenge was I spent all my time trying to explain what a podcast was and how to listen to it. Right. Now we have our app. You can stream it. There's the podcast app. It's so much simpler.
That is true.
And for me, it's the perfect marketing tool because it's free. Anybody can stumble into it. Mm-hmm. And it's very personal. Yeah. They've got my little voice, whispering in their ear. And we really build a relationship. And in the end, I think it's about relationships.
Definitely.
Now, Allison, I know Family Tree does a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And do you have any tips? Because I know you have a blog and you have a university and you have the magazine. And sometimes it can be overwhelming for people getting started in a new business to try to decide on what platform. Do you have any advice or tips about how to play to your strengths?
Well, I think that's really the main thing is play to your strengths. So one of the things I talked about in the session was if you're not really comfortable writing a lot all the time, a blog is probably not the best thing for you to use unless it's just, sharing out pictures or, information that doesn't require a lot of effort. It's really about if you're doing a lot of something anyway, like maybe you're on social media a lot of the time anyway, that's a great thing to cultivate that social media audience, get engagement and followers and build that piece up. I think and then finding what resonates with people, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. You want to be in the channels that the people you want to reach are in. YouTube is great. Mm-hmm. Lisa does that. She's got a ton of videos on her YouTube channel, and she's got a ton of videos in her subscription service. They're a natural fit, a great way for people looking for that kind of content to be found. Right. We're a publishing company. We do books, we do magazines. Blogs are wonderful for us because people are looking for articles with tips and advice. So it's a natural extension of what we're already doing.
Video production was something I was actually doing in previous lives and had a personal interest. So I started the YouTube channel before it was owned by Google. And, we've been able to really build a steady following. And I am still learning. About better ways to market. And they're totally free. Mm-hmm. It's just about being smart and wise about how you do it and what you say. Simple things like ask them what you want. Mm-hmm. At the end of your video, you say, hey, down here underneath me is a subscribe button. Click it. And they just go, oh, really? Okay. And they see it. Great. They're happy to do it.
Right.
But when I wasn't asking, it wasn't happening as fast.
Right. And I think those call to actions are very important, especially for new businesses or people who are trying to grow their brand or whatever they're trying to do, because it makes people feel like they're a part of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I'm like, woohoo, I'm joining.
Even here, have you walked up to a booth perhaps and you stood there and you go, what do they want me to do?
Yeah.
What is this? And it's the same thing with a website or a blog or anything else. You need to make it obvious.
Right.
Yeah,
And
people are not mind readers.
No.
Darn.
Just like spouses.
sorry, we're having interesting issues this week.
Yes. But just like, anything, you need to let them know what you want accomplished or how you can help them,
Yes.
reach their own goals. So as we were sitting, Terry's our business partner, as she and I were sitting in your session, you'd say something and then we lean over to each other. Yeah, we need to make sure we're doing that. And, like you're in the YouTube channel, I don't know if we have a subscribe to our newsletter button in there.
All right.
So I'm like, oh, we got to go and check that. And, just a lot of little things that you don't think about it, how you need to have more opportunities on the webpage of, have a sign up here and a sign up here, because maybe they just look at the title and they're like, oh, yeah, that's interesting, but I'm not going to read the whole article. Have that option where, it's up at the top.
Something interesting that happened to me earlier, you talked about the podcast. When iTunes was first getting started, it was important to really get ratings, to have people give you a 5-star, whatever. And it dawned on me one day, why don't I ask them? If they're listening and they've listened more than once and they're liking it, they want to help me.
Right.
And I remember going on the podcast one day and saying, it would be really helpful to me. Would you take a second, jump back in, and if you like it, give it a 5-star and maybe write a little comment. We got like 65
Oh my
immediately.
gosh.
We have a huge rating on our podcast, and it made all the difference in the world. And they were just like, oh yeah, just let us know. Whatever you need, and they're wonderful. So ask them to help.
Now, Allison, Jen and I have discovered very quickly over the last 2 years that networking is extremely important. And I'm sure you have found that as a business, not necessarily owner, but in the business world. Do you have any tips in our last minute or so of this interview on how people might be able to get over any fears or advice on how to network better?
Well, I think the great thing about the genealogy market in particular, people are so friendly. They just love to talk and share ideas, and they're very supportive. So just expect people to be receptive to wanting to meet you and talk and exchange ideas. Don't be intimidated. And I think, too, look for other businesses that sort of synergize with what you're doing, who may have things that you guys can. Lisa and I think, are a great example.
Yeah.
On the surface, it might look like we're competitors because we're both content producers, but we have different strengths and different needs. And so, I think we have a great relationship because of that. We do similar things, but we do things differently enough that we can help each other out, and that helps our businesses grow.
I think that's a great point to make, because maybe a lot of people would be afraid to reach out to somebody who does something similar because they would be afraid that either they would be stepping on toes or they might, not be able to share equally. Does that make sense?
Well, my thought was, they do such a beautiful magazine. I have read it for years, and I get so much out of it.
Yeah.
If I were a genealogist listening to my show and I loved what I did, why would I not want more of some great stuff? And so it's actually a beautiful collaboration, because I don't know genealogists who don't want more if it's good stuff.
That's right.
So
that is very
don't be
true.
afraid. I agree.
Yeah, don't be afraid. And I think, too, be proactive, seek it out, look for opportunities to talk to people. A conference like this is a great opportunity, but don't be afraid to just pick up the phone.
I remember when you walked over to me at my first conference and said, I got to talk to you about a podcast. And I went,
That's
so cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. We really appreciate talking to you, and I'm sure everyone out there loved your tips.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you.